If you've seen any videos or streams of people creating in Geometry Dash, or just experimented with the editor before yourself, you've probably seen this little checkbox. What blending does to your colors can seem very confusing at first, but once you understand how it works, it's actually fairly simple and can make your designs look infinitely better. So let's try and understand how it actually works. The word blending in the context of Geometry Dash is actually referring to additive blending, and that's because what it actually does is adds the colors together. Go figure. You can experiment with this in the editor and get a basic gist of how it works, but to understand it further, we need to go into the basics of colors. With light, we have three primary colors, those being red, green, and blue. This is why you hear RGB everywhere when people are talking about different colors. Combining all these colors together, you get white, and you can adjust the brightnesses of each of the colors to get every other color in the rainbow. The screen you're watching this on right now is taking full advantage of this. Zooming into the pixel level, you can see that each pixel is made up of 3 subpixels. Most of the time they look like this, with one section for each of the primary colors. But because there's so many of them and they're so small, all the colors blend together to trick your eyes into thinking you're seeing different colors, when really all you're seeing is different combinations of red, green, and blue. Anyway, let's go back to the pixel. Each of these segments is controlled by a number, because this is computing and everything is controlled by a number. Most of the time we use a maximum of 255, where if you set all the colors to 255, you get white. You set all of them to 0, you get black. And if, for example, you just set the red value to 255, we get, who would have guessed, red. But if we set green to 255 as well, we get yellow. But if we lower green to say 100, we get orange. So, blending. If we look at the different RGB values for both of these objects, we can see what happens when we give them blending and combine them. Values for each of these are added together, and that's what's displayed on screen. You can test this in the simplest way in Geometry Dash just by making one object solid red and the other solid green. When you combine them, sure enough, you get yellow. This behavior can be used to, believe it or not, blend the colors of different objects into each other very well, especially glow objects. It gives it a behavior similar to light itself, and is the backbone for almost all of the most incredible works made in Geometry Dash history. But even then, there's more to blending than I've mentioned so far. What happens when the number exceeds the maximum we set, 255? Well, as cool as it would be to make different parts of the screen extra bright, it just caps out at 255. This is why when you put a blending object over white, it becomes invisible. Some parts of levels, like the end screen of Sonic Wave Infinity, uses this to its advantage, where the objects grow and shrink in size. We don't have a scale trigger in the game yet, so the way this was done was by layering some black objects above the white objects. But in order to keep this cool looking space background above it, the glow has to be put above that, meaning all of this background is actually layered above the white. You just can't see it because it's all set to blending, and blending objects obviously can't be seen above white objects. Blending can also make it seem like you use more colors than you actually do. There's been a few good examples of this over time, primarily by Funny Game, but the best I could find was in a 9-star called Crispy Fantasy. When this level isn't ripping off Forsaken Neon, it has a really cool effect here. This rainbow effect only uses a mere 4 colors. It might seem impossible, but the way it was done was by layering 6 different blocks in each block, each with blending and slowly changing the colors of each block. Then the rainbow moves along just like this by shifting each of the 4 colors around the color wheel, and that's just done with basic color triggers. One final trick I'll talk about today is black blending. Black has RGB values of 0 across the board, and as I'm sure you know, if you add 0 to anything, it does absolutely nothing. So therefore, a black object set to blending goes completely invisible. This is less useful nowadays, as we have the alpha and toggle triggers that do similar things. However, before we had those, this was used to create a number of different effects, and can still be used today to make smoother pulse transitions or just make parts of objects invisible. After understanding how blending works on a fundamental level, it's easy to see how this is one of the most interesting and useful little checkboxes in the entire editor. I genuinely believe that decoration as a whole wouldn't be nearly as good as we see today without this option. So I wanted to make a video properly going through it, because I know a lot of people, including myself for a few years there, don't fully understand what blending actually does. I hope this was handy to you and helps make your levels a hell of a lot better. This is a bit of a different style of video to what I normally do, but I just kind of had this idea and really wanted to make a video like this. This is primarily inspired by videos from people like JPerm, because I've been doing a lot of cubing recently. If you follow me on Twitter, you've heard all about that, but yeah, anyway. So I wanted to try my hand at it, give it a go, and yeah, I hope you enjoyed this video, hope it turned out well. Of course, feedback is always appreciated, but yeah, overall, I hope you enjoyed the video, I hope it helped you, and yeah, thanks for watching, and I'll see you later.